Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing the Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. So this one is the other match that I told you I'd be casting from Xiphos. So obviously, community cast, sent in by Xiphos. You know, that's the usual format, that's how I usually describe it. Anyway, so this is Beastmen, played by King of the Dead, against Xiphos, who is playing as the Wood Elves. So straight away you can see the Vanguard deployment didn't quite work. Unfortunately, the Waywatch was a bit too far back. It's always a nice tactic to have Centaurs and Hounds sort of really far forward, so if there are Waywatchers sort of here, you can just run in and nab them or whatever. It's good. Anyway, but it means they're going to take some damage. But these guys are really worth the Waywatcher ammo. Who knows? Anyway, they're taking some damage, so that's that. So, a couple of Waywatchers. He also has the Sisters of Thorn, obviously load of utility from these girls, and obviously, well, obviously as a lord. Anyway, he's got an Ancient Treeman, which is kind of cool. It's nice to have a lot of armor against the Beastmen, because the Beastmen don't tend to bring a lot of armor piercing against the Wood Elves. You don't really expect a lot of trees. So the Ancient Treeman's going to be very durable. Dirthu would obviously be a bit more killy, but the Ancient Dream's going to do well. It means a spellcaster is also wrapped up in something that's very heavily armoured and very survivable. So really cool to see. Also, he's got some War Dancers. These guys will cleave through most Beastmen infantry pretty happily. But also, so will the Dryads. The Dryads actually compete with Goreherd pretty damn well. They're really good damage dealers. Eternal Guard, obviously the same price, but they're more defensive. So these guys will get a lot more killing done. And frankly, with the buffs from the heals, they'll outlast the Goreherd getting healed up. And yeah, with the Eternal Guard, a lot of their damage is actually wrapped up in armor piercing, which means it does lower damage overall. So having a load of units that are really good for killing an unarmored unit is great for dealing with the Beastmen. So I love the Dryads here. Very interesting. He does also have some War Dancers with Azurai Spears. These guys obviously going to be great for taking out anything big, you know, Minotaurs or, well, anything large. But, you know, good insurance against Minotaurs and the like, so I love that. Also, he has some Wild Riders, and he also has some Wild Riders over here. So this is a bit iffy, being in the forest so near some hounds. Luckily though, not a whole... oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so Chaos Warhounds of Poison and Centaurs and more Chaos Warhounds of Poison. This is very much King of the Dead's kind of thing. He usually brings a lot of hounds. We saw that in the last game where he's playing as Chaos against Bretonnia. He did the same thing. He just had a load of Chaos Warhounds of Poison. So it's really interesting to see. So he's doing that again. Also, he has the Centaurs and more Chaos Warhounds of Poison that we've already seen. And he's got a load of Ungor Spearmen. He's got some Ungor Raiders, which are really good value in this, actually. I really like the Ungor Raiders in this matchup because they can do a ton of damage to some very expensive things. Things like War Dancers, Dryads, War Dancers with Azurai Spears, Waywatchers, anything like that you can do a ton of damage to. And they stalk, so you can't kill them before they get in range. You're not going to see them before they get in range. So that's really fun. So I really like the Ungor Raiders, nice and cheap, and can get a lot of value. Also, a Brave Shaman of Death, Morga the Shadow Gave, Chaos Spawn, pretty damn good against Wood Elves, because Chaos Spawn are really good against low armoured things, so they're going to get some good work. Also, though, there is a Cygor, which is pretty damn cool to see. It's going to be very interesting to see how he does with the Cygor. He's also got some more Centaurs in the back, and he does the Destroyers of the Drakwold, so having some poison on your spears is always nice, and it's a big front line of Goreherd, including Blackhorn's Ravagers. So, let's speed things up. Straight away, this is happening. So you see the Hounds did get on top of the Wild Riders, or else the Hounds would be pretty much dead already if, you know, if it's the Warhounds that got charged. But you can see by the wrap, yeah, the Wild Riders got charged. So that's really bad, and now these guys are able to run in and get some more work done. So the Wild Riders have got to run away, but being poisoned by the Hounds and being chased by everything, and Centaurs are already really quick, this spells disaster for the Wild Riders. That is a very expensive thing to lose this early, and they are getting absolutely devastated here. So some manoeuvring going on here. And you see, the Ungor Raiders, they're getting some cheap damage in. They can do a lot of damage to the Waywatchers. Already a couple of models gone, and that is not what you want. That is not what you want at all. But one volley, and the Ungor Raiders are nearly dead. Still not bad in terms of, you know, cost-effective engagements, to be honest. Just Waywatchers are worth so much more. Their ammunition is worth so much more. So, yeah, to be able to do that much damage, put them down to 39 models. I mean, it's not a huge amount, it's only 6, but there's a lot of dead Waywatchers. You want them alive. You really, really want them alive. This early on, yeah. Yeah, the Ungor Raiders did a good job, and there's still quite a few of them too. So they'll come back, because of course they'll rally, still stalked, they can come in again. So not bad to get some early damage into the Waywatchers, and it means that the Beastmen lines have got a bit closer without, you know, having taken too many casualties. But here you can see the Cygor is now taking a bit of a beating. Over on this side, the Hounds and Centaurs are charging in, but against the Azurai Spears and the Dryads, and I mean all of these Wild Riders, an Earth Blood on them to keep them going. But this is a lovely bait and switch, so an Earth Blood on these guys, that's valuable. That's a valuable asset. You don't use them magic on something that doesn't need it, and these guys did not need it because the Centaurs ran off a different direction. So that's pretty cool. So over here now you can see the Centaurs are actually coming in after the War Dancers, and they're going to get some good damage on the War Dancers. Very nice, cost-effective engagement. So there's a lot of interesting things going on. Here you can see a Fate of Buna on the Sisters of Thorn. Not a bad shout. That will do a lot of damage to them. So here you can see a regrowth is about to proc because you want to heal them up again. It's taken a little while though. There we go. The regrowth. Hopefully keep them going. Hopefully. So over here you can see a load of the infantry has been chasing these hounds around. The Wild Riders are dealt with and all the other units are still going. So they're a bit haggard, but these guys are miles away, and these guys get to the fight quicker, so they're pretty much out of the fight for now. If this can get wrapped up quickly, this is a coup for the Beastmen. They've pulled a load of valuable units out of position and wiped out a very expensive thing very quickly. So Ungor Raiders still getting shot at, and yeah, is it worth shooting them? Who knows? They're very cost effective, but this ammunition's not cheap. So over here, you can see the infantry line is doing very well. The Dryads are doing very well to cut through all these Ungor. I mean, these Dryads are barely touched. This infantry's doing a fine job. Here, the Wild Riders did charge in, trying to do with the Centaurs. And the Centaurs will do alright, actually. They'll do pretty well. I mean, the Great Weapon variant tend to be better, but you don't really need armor piercing to deal with Wild Riders, so just having standard Centaurs is nice. So here, a load of Chaos Spawn getting summoned, and they're chasing everything. Here you can see the Ancient Treeman is pretty much on his own. Here, the Blackhorn's Ravagers are going to do a lot better against the Dryads than the other Gore Herd have been doing. And here, a load of Spearmen have joined the fray, so the Wild Riders have to run away. But they kind of need to get over here anyway to save the Way Watchers, so that's actually fine. This just reminded him to move the Wild Riders. I doubt he needed reminding, but it had that effect nonetheless. So anyway, Azrai Spears finally getting to the fight, but a load of other units are charging in, collapsing on top of these Dryads, and they just get immediately broken. So that's not ideal, and yeah, the Azrai Spears have finally got here. They'll get some good damage in, but yeah, those Dryads just got turned into more Chaos Spawn, so that's not good. So a load of Chaos Spawn everywhere, fighting things that they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to. And here you can see the Azrai Spears trying to keep out the way of the Ungor Spearmen, because they're not worth their time, but then not a lot here is. I mean, the Dryads, they're done, they should get on top of this. And once again, the Way Watchers are getting charged down by the Centaurs, so things are looking pretty bad. I mean, yes, there's still a lot of cavalry. Cavalry can get a lot of work done, an awful lot of work done, if it's microed effectively. And as the battle goes on, you can put more attention to microing them, but they are getting hit by giant rocks, so that's also not ideal. So a nice rear charge into a load of the Ungor Spearmen, getting some good damage in. Another Fate of Buna goes down. Those Wild Riders are probably not long for this world. They're going to get chased down by a lot. Here you can see they've been intercepted by the Chaos Spawn. Beautiful interception by the Chaos Spawn, who do a lot of damage and have poison, and those Wild Riders are doomed. So that's not good. No more regrowth for them, apparently. So, Way Watchers starting to fire in, which is something. Where are the other unit? Where's the other unit? Are they gone? Where are they? I can't see them anywhere. Oh yeah, there they are. Oh dear. Only 4 of them left. So yeah, things are looking pretty grim. So a ton of Chaos Spawn running around. Still some Centaurs, so there's still some maneuverability on both sides. Here you can see the Wild Riders got wiped out, but then so did the Centaurs. Sisters of Thorn still doing well, despite the early Fate of Buna. They've taken more damage than most units on the field right now, and they look great. So, fantastic. So here you can see the War Dance with Azrai Spears trying to deal with this stuff. More War Dance with Azrai Spears. There are some very healthy Dryads in here though. I'm amazed these Dryads are still so good. So they should hopefully be able to cut through a lot of this. So this is looking better, but a lot of this infantry is going to start blobbing up, and there's still a Cygor. Over here though, these Dryads actually kept chasing. They ran in to deal with the Ungor Raiders that were coming back, and now they can start wrapping up the Cygor, which is pretty great. So here, a load more stuff coming in again. So these Dryads, they might not be able to withstand a charge and getting pinned down by that stuff. So, yeah, it's not looking great for the Dryads. But it looks like he didn't want to risk his Centaurs. He's going to move them up and around, I think, to try and deal with these guys. So anyway, over here, once again, Hounds are back. He just cannot finish off these Hounds. Sisters of Thorn are trying their best, but the Way Watchers are getting really whittled down. They've used most of their ammunition, but they've been losing models the entire time. They've definitely not been able to pay for themselves the way that you'd like. So here, Deathcaster still pretty healthy, but actually the Treeman with his entourage, they're doing very well here. There's still some very powerful things, but now the Sisters of Thorn can just run down what's left, which is great. So here, Way Watchers trying to run through this area. Sisters of Thorn just blocking everything in, but this is only a terror route. So now all these units are going to be coming back, which isn't good. So here, Spirit Leech goes down on the Ancient Treeman, which is not ideal. These Dryads, I mean, it's not looking great for either of these guys, actually, but it looks like the Dryads are going to lose out. They just don't have the leadership. Over here, these Dryads got dealt with because the Ungor Raiders came back and the Centaurs were able to do some extra damage. And, of course, the Cygor is a big, scary monster, so that obviously helped. And now we can start throwing rocks into these guys again. So things are looking a bit iffy again. So Scissors of Thorn still going, 23 models, really cool. Weight Watchers still managing to fire somehow. Treeman really being torn to pieces here. The combination of the Bray Shaman and Morga, he's really getting ripped down. And none of these guys count as large models, so the Azrai Spears aren't getting their anti-large bonus. So over here you can see it's more Azrai Spears are coming back, but suddenly a lot of the infantry for the Wood Elves is looking very, very injured. I mean, there's injuries on both sides, but when you look at how healthy Morga is, and the fact that Morga will regenerate, that's not good. But this Bray Shaman has almost had it. So there we go, the Bray Shaman has broken. But he's got off 2 Fated Units and a Spirit Leech at least, so he's paid for himself easily. And here, rocks coming in for the Ancient Treeman. That's the only armor-piercing thing that is left for the Beastmen. That's the only armor-piercing thing. But then that was actually the only armor-piercing thing to begin with. So that's why the Ancient Treeman was having a good time. But, you know, against all the pressure of all the heroes, yes, he is going to get whittled down, despite the armor. But one of the heroes is gone, and Morga, I don't think, can really catch him. Morga, he's just being attacked by everything that's chasing him, so he's going to be taking damage sort of needlessly here on this crusade, trying to deal with the Ancient Treeman. More rocks coming in. That one seemed to hit Morga in the face, so that's pretty funny. But anyway, Scissors of Thorn, Weight Watchers over there. Scissors of Thorn ran off over here, so the Scissors of Thorn actually ran past the Cygor, just to come in here and shatter the Ungor Raiders. And now there are Scissors of Thorn and some Dryads that can start dealing with this Cygor, and a load of anti-large coming in with the Azrai Spears to deal with them. Here, the Way Watchers have run out of ammunition, but that's not the end of the world. You know, they can still fight in melee for a little bit. They can still throw a spanner in the works. But right now, you can see the balance of power hugely in favour of the Beastmen, thanks to having a very healthy Lord and a very healthy Cygor. But they don't really have the armor piercing. Now they're going to get wrapped. He's going to get wrapped up in melee by a load of anti-large. He's going to start taking a ton of damage, and he's not going to be able to fight. And he's not very accurate. It's not that easy to hit a Treeman with a big rock from that distance. Despite what you think, he's quite slow and massive. But you know, still. Let's see. Does this hit? Oh bloody hell, it does. Alright, well, he's got Earth Blood, so that's something. So these guys are getting healed up. Suddenly the balance of power is already shifting, because Morga just took a ton of damage. Here, Way Watchers, being the most injured unit, took the charge from the Ungor Spearmen, so the rest can continue to pursue Morga. And here, beautiful rear charge from the Scissors of Thorn just wipes that unit out. Over here, Cygor, he's taken so much damage since we last looked at him. All that anti-large is tearing him apart. Here you can see the Ancient Treeman try to run away from Morga. Yeah, Morga seems to be able to catch up. He's catching up, I don't know how. Anyway, he's being chased by cavalry now, so that's not good for him. And yeah, that Cygor has had it. So balance of power slowly shifting towards the Wood Elves' favour. So beautiful comeback here. And Cygor getting very angry, throwing his toys out the pram. You know, smashing his toys on the floor. Pretty classic. So he's broken, and that just leaves Morga. Balance of power shifting further in the favour of the Wood Elves. Plenty of units left to come and deal with him. And yeah, he can regenerate, but he's getting a bit frightened. So that'll be it. So of course, he's not immune to psychology either. So he should terrify it. Oh, he is immune to psychology. Okay, I'm lying. Anyway, he won't terror. But still, he's taking an absolute beating for all this stuff. And there's nothing left. He's got nothing. There's absolutely nothing else on the field. It's all Morga. So, Pyrrhic victory. Pretty damn cool fight. I really enjoyed this. This was really cool to see. I love the Dryads in this matchup. I don't know, I don't do this matchup a huge amount, honestly, but I like the Dryad pick. I think that's a good pick. Way Watchers, I mean, they got a load of kills, but then, I don't know, it seems an odd one, because, I mean, yeah, you can wipe out unit Minotaurs with basically a volley, which is pretty great, but who's bringing Minotaurs against Wood Elves, you know? I'm not sure what their targets would be, really. Very expensive indeed. Got a ton of kills, though, and basically were bait for most of the game. I mean, they were taking damage constantly from all the Hounds and the Centaurs, trying to get on top of them. But in a way, that just fed the remaining Wild Riders and the Sisters of Thorn, who were able just to intercept those guys and wipe them out. So they made great bait, and they made everything else more cost-effective. They did get a ton of kills, but then when you look 101 kills and 142 for the Dryads, that cost less than half the amount, it's kind of bizarre. I'm not sure you really need the Way Watchers. But it is nice to have some missile support, so I don't know, it's a weird one. This seems like overkill to me. I'm not sure you need the really heavy armor piercing. But, I mean, they did the job. A couple of chevrons for this one. I mean, you can't really complain, right? So yeah, this was beautiful. Also, just having a spellcaster that has 100 armor, that really helps. That is definitely a huge help. And Law of Life, obviously, if you've got such elite units, you want to keep them going. So, and against, you know, very high damage dealers, it's nice to have Law of Life to be able to heal things up again. So, it's interesting. I like the Ancient Treeman pick. Rarely see the Ancient Treeman. So, very cool indeed. But also, I really do like this, you know, this build as well. The front line is damaging enough. You know, the Gorehide with shields, they have armor, not armor, missile resistance, so they can withstand a load of arrows, which is always nice to have. The Ungor Raiders can get some good sneaky damage in onto a lot of very expensive units. The Centaurs are ample, you know, to be able to chase down cavalry and then get some good work done in support with the Hounds. And there's just so much maneuverability here. I mean, 6 units, but then also a Cygor. So you can play these fairly defensively if you have to. Which is kind of cool. I kind of like this. You can constantly be harassing things in the back line or wait and reserve a bit, let the Cygor smash things. So, a lot of options here. Also, Death Magic is a classic, you guys know that. And Morga, really resilient, really hard to kill. Small target, so nothing, you know, another elite anti-armor, anti-inventory, anti-large stuff will help. So he'll just sit there, not take a huge amount of damage from things like Eternal Guard or Azrai Spears, and yeah, he'll just spawn a load of Chaos Spawn all over the place that'll get a lot of work done. So it's pretty cool. Both very cool builds, but Xiphos was just able to pull it out, which is unbelievable. I think it's just down to the fact that he was out of Centaurs. There were no Centaurs or Hounds left towards the end of the fight, and the Sisters of Thorn remained. So he had something with shock damage left, and that was vital. You know, that was absolutely vital. And just having something so armoured as the Ancient Treeman, it was difficult to finish him off. So yeah, I think that's that. That about sums it up, guys. So, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.